Grady Dion Wilson, born on October 13th, 1946, and passing peacefully on January 30th, 2026, lived a life shaped by purpose, perseverance, and deep faith. To millions, he will always be Lamont Sanford, the steady, soft-spoken son on NBC's Sanford and Son, a role that made him a household name from 1972 to 1977. Yet Wilson's life cannot be confined to a single character or era. He was an actor, a soldier, an author, a pastor, and above all, a devoted family man. Over decades of work in television, film, writing, and ministry, he built financial stability, but he never measured success by wealth alone. What mattered most to him was integrity, belief, and service. His journey was not one of constant applause, but of growth and reflection. In remembering Wilson, we remember a man who chose meaning over momentum and conviction over comfort. Roots in Georgia, dreams shaped in New York. Grady Dion Wilson was born in Valdosta, Georgia, but his future began to take shape after his family relocated to New York City during his childhood. The city's cultural energy exposed him early to music, movement, and performance. By the age of 4, Wilson had already appeared on a Broadway stage, an extraordinary beginning that hinted at a lifelong connection to the arts. As he grew, he trained in tap dance and ballet, learning discipline and expression long before most children found their voice. At just 12 years old, he performed at Harlem's Apollo Theatre, a sacred space in Black entertainment history. That moment carried deep meaning, not just as a performance, but as a quiet affirmation of belonging. Even then, Wilson understood that storytelling had power. The stage wasn't just a place to be seen, but a place where identity, culture, and emotion could meet. Faith, fragility, and a defining promise. Faith played a central role in Wilson's upbringing, shaping his worldview from an early age. Raised Catholic, he served as an altar boy and once considered becoming a priest. His summers spent with his Pentecostal grandmother, Ada Mitchell, exposed him to a different spiritual expression that would later influence his adult beliefs. At 13, his life took a dramatic turn when his appendix ruptured, bringing him dangerously close to death. The experience left him shaken but transformed. In that vulnerable moment, Wilson made a private vow to God, promising to dedicate his life to service if he survived. Though fame and success would later pull him into the public eye, that promise never faded. It became a quiet compass, guiding him even when he drifted far from it. Long before the spotlight arrived, Wilson had already begun a lifelong conversation with faith, one that would eventually define his greatest decisions. Service, survival, and inner strength. From 1966 to 1968, Wilson served in the United States Army as part of the 4th Infantry Division during the Vietnam War. The experience was intense and life-altering, exposing him to hardship, loss, and fear at a young age. He was wounded in combat, returning home with both physical injuries and emotional weight that would linger for years. Yet those difficult experiences also forged resilience. Military service taught him discipline, endurance, and perspective, qualities that would later anchor him in the unpredictable world of entertainment. After returning home in the late 1960s, Wilson turned back to performance, using art as a form of healing. He appeared in Broadway and off-Broadway productions, finding that storytelling allowed him to process pain and reclaim purpose. The stage became more than a career path. It became a refuge. Through service and survival, Wilson learned that strength often grows from the most difficult chapters. Building toward a breakthrough, Wilson's transition from stage to screen happened gradually, shaped by patience rather than overnight success. He landed guest roles on popular television series such as Mission, Impossible, and All in the Family, leaving strong impressions even in limited screen time. His calm presence and emotional restraint set him apart in an industry that often favored excess. He also appeared in films like The Organization in 1971 and Dealing, or the Berkeley to Boston 40-brick Lost Bag Blues in 1972. These early roles sharpened his craft and prepared him for the opportunity that would soon change his life. Casting directors noticed his ability to convey depth without force, humor without exaggeration. By the early 1970s, Wilson stood on the edge of something transformative. He had paid his dues quietly, learning how to listen, adapt, and grow. When his defining role finally arrived, he was ready to carry it with balance and authenticity, becoming Lamont Sanford. In 1971, Wilson was cast as Lamont Sanford on Sanford and Son, a role that would secure his place in television history. Originally considered for another actor, the character found its perfect match in Wilson's measured, thoughtful performance. As Lamont, he played the patient, principled son to Red Fox's loud and cunning Fred Sanford. The contrast was essential. Wilson provided emotional grounding, allowing the comedy to breathe and resonate. His chemistry with Fox created a rhythm that blended humor with heart, turning the show into a cultural phenomenon. At its peak, tens of millions of viewers tuned in weekly, making it one of the most successful sitcoms of its time. For 5 years, Wilson became a familiar presence in American living rooms. Lamont Sanford wasn't just funny, he was relatable. Through him, Wilson helped redefine what Black family life looked like on network television, holding the center during turbulent times. In 1974, when Red Fox temporarily left Sanford and Son amid a contract dispute, Wilson found himself unexpectedly carrying the series. With professionalism and restraint, he stepped into a central role, keeping the show afloat until Fox's return the following year. While the reunion restored the show's energy, the experience left an emotional imprint. Wilson later shared that his deepest hurt wasn't the conflict itself, but learning about Fox's departure indirectly, rather than through a personal conversation. Despite this, he chose forgiveness over resentment. He remained focused on the work, honoring the audience and the show they had built together. That period revealed Wilson's character as much as his talent. He didn't seek control or recognition. He sought stability. The experience also marked a turning point, quietly planting seeds of disillusionment with the industry that would later influence his decision to step away. Beyond the sitcom and into reflection, after Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Wilson continued acting with determination and range. He starred in the CBS sitcom Baby, I'm Back, and later took on the role of Oscar Madison in ABC's The New Odd Couple, opposite Ron Glass. His film work included Full Moon High, Me, and The Kid, and Hammerlock, proving his versatility across decades. Yet even as his career progressed, Wilson felt increasingly drawn toward introspection. Acting no longer fulfilled him in the way it once had. Writing became a new outlet. Rooted in his Christian beliefs, he authored books exploring faith and spiritual discernment, including New Age Millennium and his memoir, Second Banana, which offered an honest reflection on fame, struggle, and identity. These works revealed a man searching not for applause, but for truth. The farther he moved from the spotlight, the closer he came to himself. Ministry, family, and an enduring legacy. In 1984, Wilson fulfilled the promise he made as a child by becoming an ordained minister in the Church of God in Christ. Ministry became central to his life, guiding his work and relationships. He appeared on faith-based programs, participated in religious theatre, and supported projects focused on redemption and healing. That same sense of devotion defined his family life. Wilson married model Cicely Johnston in 1974, and together they raised 6 children. Family anchored him through every season, offering stability fame never could. When Wilson passed away from cancer-related complications at his home in Palm Springs at age 79, he left behind more than memories. He left a legacy of humility, courage, and faith. Though the screen has gone dark, the light of his life endures, in laughter remembered, values upheld, and a path walked with quiet conviction.